Most people think wealth is built by earning more money. And yes, income matters. But once you make enough to cover your life, the real game changes. It becomes less about how much you earn and more about how much leakage you allow. Because there are two ways to become wealthier. You can increase income, or you can stop unnecessary extraction. And one of the biggest forms of extraction in modern life is taxes. Not illegal taxes, not unfair taxes. Just taxes that people pay inefficiently because they never learned how the system actually works. The uncomfortable truth is that many people spend years trying to increase their income by 10% while ignoring legal structures that could preserve thousands of dollars a year automatically. They obsess over side hustles, crypto trends, stock picks, productivity hacks, while completely neglecting tax optimization. And the reason is simple. Tax optimization feels boring. It doesn't look impressive online. Nobody posts screenshots of correctly structured retirement accounts. Nobody flexes contribution limits at dinner parties. But quiet financial systems often outperform loud financial ambition over long periods of time. There's a stage in personal finance where effort matters most. You work harder, earn more, save aggressively. But eventually, efficiency becomes just as important as effort. Because if your financial structure is weak, higher income simply creates bigger leakage. More money comes in, more gets extracted, more disappears into taxes, inflation, interest, and lifestyle expansion. This is where the tax optimization zone begins. It's the stage where you stop asking only, "How do I make more money?" and start asking, "How do I keep more of what I already make?" And one of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming tax optimization is only for the rich. It's not. In fact, the earlier you understand tax-advantaged accounts, the more powerful they become, because time amplifies efficiency. Saving money on taxes once is useful. Saving money on taxes consistently for decades while allowing those savings to compound is transformational. And yet most people never fully use the tools available to them because the names sound bureaucratic and the benefits feel abstract. Take the HSA, for example. The Health Savings Account is one of the most quietly powerful financial tools in America, and most people treat it like a checking account for medical expenses. That's the misunderstanding. They use it immediately for copays, prescriptions, random healthcare costs, and then wonder why the account never grows. But the real power of the HSA is not convenience, it's tax structure. Contributions can reduce taxable income. Growth inside the account compounds tax-free. Withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are also tax-free. That combination is extremely rare. It's one of the few places where the government effectively gives multiple layers of tax advantage at once. And yet because healthcare feels immediate, people spend from the HSA too early. They interrupt compounding before it has time to become meaningful. The more strategic approach, if cash flow allows, is often to pay smaller medical costs out of pocket and allow the HSA to stay invested, quietly growing in the background year after year. Because eventually, healthcare costs later in life become substantial, and having a tax-advantaged pool of money waiting for those years creates flexibility most people underestimate. What makes this powerful is not excitement, it's efficiency. The HSA is boring in the same way a strong foundation is boring. Nobody visits a building and says, "Amazing concrete structure." But without it, the entire system becomes fragile. Tax optimization works the same way. It's invisible when done correctly, but over decades it changes outcomes dramatically. The IRA operates differently, but the principle is similar. The individual retirement account exists to reward long-term investing behavior through tax advantages. Traditional IRAs may reduce taxable income today, while Roth IRAs allow qualified withdrawals later to come out tax-free. And that distinction matters more than people realize because taxes affect compounding. If your investments grow while constantly being interrupted by taxation, growth slows. But when growth compounds inside protected structures for decades, the difference becomes massive. The problem is that most people don't think long enough. They optimize for current comfort instead of future efficiency. They delay contributions because retirement feels distant. They treat tax-advantaged accounts like optional extras instead of structural tools. And then years later, they realize something painful. The hardest part of investing is not usually finding returns. It's creating enough uninterrupted time for compounding to work. Tax optimization helps protect that uninterrupted growth. Another issue is behavioral. People like visible rewards. Buying something feels immediate. Investing in an IRA does not. Reducing taxable income does not trigger excitement. There's no emotional dopamine hit from maximizing contribution limits. And because of that, financially intelligent behavior often loses to emotionally satisfying behavior in the short term. That's why people stay stuck. Not because the tools are unavailable, but because the rewards are delayed and invisible. The wealthy understand something different. They understand that financial systems matter more than occasional financial intensity. A person making moderate income with strong systems often outperforms a higher earner with chaotic habits. Because money compounds best when protected from unnecessary friction. Taxes are friction. Fees are friction. Debt interest is friction. Lifestyle inflation is friction. The goal is not to eliminate all friction completely. The goal is to reduce avoidable friction so that more of your effort actually stays working for you. This is also why many high earners still feel financially trapped. Their income increased, but their structure didn't improve. They still leak money inefficiently. They still ignore retirement optimization. They still expand lifestyle faster than they build assets. And eventually, they discover something frustrating. Earning more without optimization often creates the illusion of progress without the reality of security. There's also a psychological advantage to using these accounts properly. When money becomes slightly harder to access, behavior improves. You create friction around spending instead of around saving. That matters because human behavior follows convenience. If investing requires effort while spending is effortless, spending usually wins. But tax-advantaged systems quietly reverse that pattern. They automate better behavior. They move money before your impulses can redirect it elsewhere. Another important point is that optimization is not about avoiding responsibility. Some people hear tax optimization and immediately think manipulation or loopholes. That's not what this is. These systems exist intentionally. Governments create them specifically to encourage certain behaviors like retirement saving and healthcare preparation. Using them intelligently is not exploitation. It's financial literacy. The problem is that financially illiterate people often subsidize financially literate people simply because they never learn the rules of the system they're operating inside. And this is where personal finance becomes uncomfortable. Because once you understand these tools, excuses become harder to maintain. You realize that many financial problems are not caused by lack of intelligence but by avoidance. People avoid learning because the topic feels intimidating, or boring, or complicated. But complexity decreases quickly once you spend a few focused hours understanding the basics. The real barrier is not capability, it's resistance. Now, none of this means tax optimization alone creates wealth. You still need income. You still need discipline. You still need investing consistency. But optimization increases efficiency, and efficiency compounds. If two people earn the same income and invest similarly, but one consistently reduces tax drag over decades, the outcomes separate quietly over time, not dramatically in 1 year, dramatically across 30. And that's the part most people fail to understand about wealth building in general. The biggest differences rarely come from one giant move. They come from structural advantages repeated for offensively long periods of time. Small efficiencies, lower friction, better systems, less leakage. These things look insignificant monthly but enormous decades later. The tax optimization zone is really the point where you stop behaving like a consumer who occasionally invests and start behaving like someone intentionally designing a financial system. You stop reacting randomly and start positioning strategically. Because once your financial structure becomes efficient, every future dollar you earn works harder automatically. And that changes everything. Because building wealth is difficult enough already. There's no reason to make it harder by voluntarily ignoring systems designed to help long-term investors keep more of what they build. So tonight, instead of researching another hot stock or watching another video about overnight success, do something quieter and probably more valuable. Log into your retirement accounts. Check whether you're using your HSA correctly. Learn your IRA contribution limits. Understand how your taxes actually work. Because financial freedom is rarely built through dramatic moves. It's usually built through boring systems most people ignore because they don't look exciting enough to matter. And if this video helped you think differently about money, subscribe and stay close to the channel. Because the goal here is not fake wealth, social media finance theater, or empty motivation. The goal is building systems that quietly make your future stronger while nobody is paying attention.